Okay.
Robert.
Hi, I'm Librarian Paul Sevilla with the Livermore Public Library. Welcome to our final Livermore Reads Together event this year. It's been a phenomenal month of programming to celebrate the themes in this year's featured book, The Reason I Jump, The Inner Voice of a 13-year-old Boy with Autism by Naoki Higashida. Thank you so much to the Friends of the Livermore Public Library for their generous support of Livermore Reads Together, and to all the wonderful speakers and presenters that participated this month. Now, let me introduce my co-host this evening. Cynthia Patton is an attorney, activist, educator, and founder of the nonprofit Autism A to Z. Her award-winning work has appeared in the book Across an Aqueous Moon, Travels in Autism, 16 anthologies, numerous publications, and on stage. She has served as the City of Livermore's Poet Laureate since 2017. Cynthia, thank you very much for joining me tonight and for all your help this year's LRT. Without your help, we couldn't have done this. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You know, it's been a labor of love.
Well, thank you so much for being a great community partner for the library. So our special guest is Matteo and Annette Musso. And let me tell you about Matteo is an inspirational speaker, poet, author, artist who has autism, like Naoki Higashida in the book, The Reason I Jump. But Matteo's accomplishments at age 16 are absolutely astounding. Well, you're 18 now, so, but absolutely astounding. So Matteo has authored 5 books, all written one letter at a time by pointing at a letterboard. His latest book is titled Handbook of Us, Understanding and Accepting People with Autism, which is available to borrow from your local library. Matteo has presented over 70 talks across the country, presenting to parents, teachers, students at autism conference, corporations, and just other events, promoting the main message of assume intelligence. Matteo has been featured in an autism conference panel alongside Temple Grandin. He received the Temple Grandin Award in 2017 by Las Positas College for community service. Matteo was invited to speak at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester to doctors, nurses, and staff about how to help those with autism. And he's a YouTuber. He has a YouTube vlog, Mondays with Matteo, which you can watch. So Matteo and Annette founded the nonprofit Creative Autism Solutions Team, or CAST, an organization that provides services and programs for autistic youth and their caregivers. So Annette and Matteo, welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us, Paul. This is awesome. And Cynthia, thank you also from us to you for everything you've done. You guys have just done a fantastic job this month, highlighting and spotlighting neurodiversity and autism in particular. So we're grateful for your efforts that way as well.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm laughing because I've been doing most of these when I'm hosting with Paul from the library, and I was running late and I didn't have time to make it there. So I've got a kid listening to a video obsessively in the background. I've got a cat that's like insisting on Zoom bombing. This is why, Paul, I was doing all the other ones at the library. And you can probably see my messy kitchen in the background, or messy whatever. Anyway, so but I'm here. So it's been a busy but a great month. And hopefully my cat will just sit here in my lap. And
oh, we love seeing your cat. Don't worry.
Yes, I have many library videos with cats in them. So.
Okay. Yeah.
So Annette, before we get started, oh, go ahead.
1 second. I like the TER, the term ZOO, Zoom, BOMBING.
Grounding.
I like the term Zoom bombing.
Yeah.
Never heard that.
Yeah.
It's
All
amazing.
right, my cats have perfected it. Anyway, yeah. See,
Hear
so
that
you guys
term.
have a better because I realized we've never shown one of these. So, you know,
Yeah, why don't we talk about that? So, why don't, for our viewers, Annette, why don't you explain how Matteo, who is nonverbal but a phenomenal writer, is going to communicate with us?
Is going to what?
He's going to communicate with us.
Well, he's going to scream a lot, as you can see. He's very happy to be doing this, so he was all excited. How are you going to communicate? ILL PO and I'll point LIK like THI. I'll point like this. And MO, mom. And I WILL will SHAR share TH the TALKING. I'll point like this and Mom and I will share the talking. So that's how we do it, one letter at a time.
Put the letterboard. Put the letterboard.
All right, that's how we do it.
Put the letterboard though.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
do you want to know anything about this method or why we do it this way?
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that method? What is it called? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is called all sorts of things now. We use the rapid prompting method, the trademarked rapid prompting method, but there's all sorts of letterboarding and keyboarding coming out now. This all has different types of names. RPM has worked the best for us. We're now transitioning, trying to get away from the letterboard and onto a computer. And that is a slow process, but we're getting there. Also at the same time, we are using this as a speech helper. And Matteo has gained so much language. He has gained so much language because of this board. And you'll see this as we go, he can point to a letter and then he'll enunciate the letter, the sound of it, like phonics, right? So we went through all that, and then he just started pointing to a word, and then he would say the whole word. And then he'd say a whole sentence. But if it was a long sentence, he'd forget the beginning of it. So we're working to get the cohesive sentence out verbally. And really, we focus more on the verbal than we have on the typing the past couple of years, especially with COVID. We've just spent so many hours reading out loud. He reads a sentence, I read a sentence, he reads a sentence, and that's how we go through books or a paragraph alternating and stuff. It's exhausting for him. This is exhausting for anybody that does it. It takes so much focus and so much brain power that's why you're going to see me sometimes saying the words, and then he'll sometimes say the words, but then he'll stop because he needs a break, right? And that's maybe where you'll ask me a question and he can chill out for a little bit. And that's how our presentations go a lot too. So if I start talking more, I'm not trying to take over. It's just that I know when he needs a break. So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So with the method we start, it's an educational method. It's really not, it wasn't developed as anything else, but an educational method. It's become a way of communication,
Yeah.
but that grew out of it being a way to teach specifically a nonverbal person with autism or any other challenge, and then a way for them to get an answer out in a way we can understand it. Because the assumption of so many people about those that are nonverbal is that they're not understanding because they can't answer a question back in the way we're used to communicating so easily.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the whole point of us traveling around the country and doing this in front of audiences, whether, you know, they have seen it before or not, whether they believe it's happening or not. You know, we've just had such tremendous support once they see this live.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear about it, something else to see it and experience it.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What the chicken?
You say
I am.
I am. So you said
I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud to what?
To be, leave my boogers alone.
To be
able to express why. So
I'm so proud to be able to express myself.
you're doing great.
Mhm.
One. But one letter at a time.
One letter at a time
Yes.
is
A pain.
you say it?
Though.
One
Letter is a pain though.
one letter at a time is a pain though.
You're doing great.
I'd
M
am
S O.
okay, MSO. Let's start again. I'm or I'd. What did you say?
I
Okay.
I
Okay. I'd what?
R
Mm-hmm.
A
R-A what?
T. I am rather
I'd rather what?
E J
And
U.
yeah, J-U.
Yes. Just
Mm-hmm.
talk.
I'd rather just talk, right?
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Okay, but I need that letterboard. Thank you.
So, yeah, Matteo, what inspired you to go into writing?
Because I have so much T 2 S A Y to say.
Can you say the whole thing?
Because I have so much to say.
Yeah, because I have so much to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll put the letterboard over.
It
Zoom.
takes
So long
it takes so long.
to
Mhm,
G to get
mhm. Do you want to just hold it?
A to get at
To get a at. Oh,
Thought.
To get a thought out writing is a better way for me. Takes so long to get a thought out. Writing is a better way for me. Just a minute. Finish your thought.
Now put the letter word down.
Okay. And not. You say it. Say the letters. E-V.
E
Say the letters.
R. Not everyone.
Not everyone.
I. Is. A. S.
Is as.
P. A.
P-A what?
I. Yeah. P.
Start again. P-A.
I.
P-A-I.
T.
T. Patient. Is that
Yeah.
right? Not everyone is as patient as you.
You. Paul.
Not everyone is as patient as you, Paul.
Put the letter word down.
So
Thank you. Thank you, Matteo. Cynthia, do you want to ask the next question?
You know, and Annette, this was not on the questions that we sent you, but
Okay.
do you want to share just like what it was like? I mean, I was there, I read into you and Matteo, like, I think it was, I don't know, 6 months after you started letterboarding, but do you want to share, you know, what that, you know, that first early 6 months
yeah.
was like, what that meant to you? I mean, I know what it meant to you, but do you want to share that with everybody else?
Sure. What that emotional upheaval, life-changing, life-altering
Yes.
miracle was like.
Yes.
I'll say a weird thing, and that is I wish everyone could experience something like that in their lifetime, because it's a time that I will never forget. There are moments that I will never forget, and they've been such a gift. There have been so many gifts that have come out of this. You know, we as parents of autistic kids especially, and every challenge has its own set of challenges, and we parents are kind of left to figure things out a lot on our own, and that even adds to it with autism. There's no one way to approach helping our kids live their best life or become the best that they can become. So that makes it even more emotionally challenging, I think, for us. But when I was introduced to RPM, or just heard about the rapid prompting method from another mother of mine who had done the Sunrise program like we had done, we were already on the same wavelength, but had this same thought process and thinking about and belief in our kids and what was buried within them. And it was just trapped, and it couldn't get out, whether it's their intelligence or their emotion or their spirituality or their who they are as a human being, just couldn't be expressed. So when she called and shared with me this amazing way of communication and education, I jumped on it, just got the books, started reading all the books, because there's only, at that time, only about 2 or 3 teachers in the whole world doing it. How are we supposed to get a hold of a person to help us learn this, right? So I just dove in with the books that you can get online. And Matteo and I worked for about 3 months doing this teach ask. So I would teach, get a lesson. I would teach one phrase. You know, there are, you know, X number of breeds of cats in the world. Matteo, how many breeds of cats are there in the world? You know, what X number, whatever the number is. So he would start pointing to the number or the letters. And there's ways to approach this. It's just not magic one day. So you have to read the books and learn it, but and watch the videos. But anyway, we did that on our own for about 3 months until we were able to see a teacher. And I'll tell you, once we saw the teacher, everything exploded. And I was not expecting that at all. And I had promised Matteo, I said, this is going to work. I know it's going to work. I don't know how long it's going to take. And I don't care how long it's going to take. But I'm not going to give up, and we're going to do this together. And I really feel strongly that this is going to be a wonderful thing for you and for all of us who love you. So the first time we met with the teacher, Lene Crandall, he was communicating with open-ended communication, which is very rare. It does not happen all the time. She wasn't expecting it, nor was I, but he just was ready. He was just ready, and we had prepped for 3 months. So I guess it wasn't like she just started, using the board with him and it was magic. We did work very hard for 3 months prior to that, which isn't discussed enough, I don't think, with the parents. They think that we just started getting open-ended immediately, and that's not really the case, but it did come very quickly. And I firmly believe that was because I had decided it's going to work, and I just didn't put a timeline or any pressure on when it was going to work. So it's kind of a mindset, and Matteo now has shared so much about the energy that comes from a parent to the child. So if I had presented it like, okay, this is it, this is what's going to make you communicate with me, and this is how you're going to get into college, and this is how you're going to communicate with everybody, and you gotta, you're 16 years old now, you've got 2 years before you got to go to college, so get going. That's like so much pressure. But we all want to hear from our kids so bad that sometimes we do put pressure on, but we don't mean to. It's human nature, right? So the first time that he said something, this is in his book. In fact, we notated the whole first, the first 3 days with Lene. Every single word is written. The teach asked when he interrupted her to say a sentence, when he was scared because I was actually sitting on the floor in this little room sobbing. I mean, I couldn't even breathe. It was that overwhelming to hear original thoughts coming from my son for the first time after 12 years of dreaming and praying and waiting for this miracle. And yeah, I'll never forget it. Never forget it. You experienced the same thing, right?
Yes, Annette, about 6 months later, Annette and Matteo, actually. Matteo spelled on the letterboard that I needed to try this with Katie. And I was floored. And so we went and sat with Lene, and yeah, in the first 30 minutes, Katie was spelling out French Revolution and, converting Roman numerals to Arabic numerals and adding them simultaneously in her head and getting the correct answer. And I don't know what look I had on my face, but at one point, Lene turned to me and said, I don't know what that look means, but it's like every parent that sits in that chair has it. And I think I responded something to the effect, I said, I don't know if I should laugh, cry, or I was feeling every conceivable, emotion. And, I told friends later that it felt like I was meeting my daughter's big, beautiful brain for the first time, and even now, I get kind of choked up when I think about it, but that it literally changed the entire trajectory of her life, because going from, sadly, when you have a child, Katie's a little bit more verbal than Matteo, but not by much, but you know, she can get some functional needs met. But whether you have no speech or very limited speech, if you can't answer and respond to questions in the traditional way in school, I mean, I hate to say this, school tends, and everyone, frankly, a lot of people tend to assume that there's not much going on upstairs. You know, it's sad, but the assumption is if you're not talking, then, you know, and we don't know what's going on up there, then obviously nothing is going on up there, which is,
Well, basically,
you know, sadly not true, you
if
know.
you can't communicate my way, then you must not have anything to communicate.
Yes, and that too.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it's funny because Matteo has brought up a number of times how archaic our way of communicating actually is. And not only is it archaic, but with words and talking, you can lie, you can hurt people, you can use your voice as a weapon, you can use it for destruction, you can use your voice for lots of things and your words for lots of things. And he said when he was 11 and a half, when we just started this, he goes, I don't even know that I want that. And I'm like, could you have mentioned that before I spent all this money on therapies to try to get you to talk? He's heard and experienced so often that talking isn't 100% positive.
Yeah.
And communicating is, but they are communicating to us even if they don't have language. The fact is that we don't understand and we don't look deep enough for the meaning sometimes. We can only see it through our life experience, not theirs. And I mean, what else do you do, right? We're only human.
Yeah.
And but once my eyes were open to looking at Matteo from trying to see things from his perspective, and that's through the Sunrise training. Get down on your hands and knees and look at where they're staring and see what it is that they find so amazing about staring there. You might see a shadow or a whatever that's doing a dance that we wouldn't even notice. But again, trying to see things from your child's perspective changes your relationship with them. And that relationship is everything. And if someone could have taken a brick and whacked me on the head when I was dragging him to therapies 8 hours a day, trying to make him fit into our way of living, our way of communicating, our way of doing everything, I would have maybe listened, but probably not at that point. Yeah. I wish someone would have, because, you know, but that's our journey. I don't regret it, but I've just learned so much with a parent.
Do you honestly think, I mean, yeah, even if somebody had hit me over the head with a brick, I'm not sure that I would have. I mean,
no, that's what I said. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have believed that then, or even wanted that. I mean, I was so, you know, back when our kids were diagnosed, you know, there was still all this talk of curing, you know, we cure autism. You know, if you just do enough diet and enough therapy and enough whatever, you know, and then if you didn't do the 40 or 80 hour week of whatever, you know, you felt horribly guilty that you were somehow, you know, messing up your kid for, you know, in a 10-time worse way than you ever thought you could possibly mess up your child.
Oh, right. Exactly.
You know, when they were born. But, you know, it's really interesting because it's like, you know, I call it, I think, Matteo, did you start calling it Autism Land, or did I just start calling it Autism Land? Or maybe we both did, or maybe I heard it from you. But I mean, Autism Land has its own set of rules. And I mean, I knew that before. It's just, it's taken me a long time to figure out what those rules are. And, you know, those rules aren't, they're just different rules, you know. I mean, there's an inherent logic there. It's just not the same logic that we have in a neurotypical, you world. So, I kind of feel like now I'm straddling two worlds, I mean, I understand the laws here, and I kind of understand, the more, but I mean, I keep feeling like every day there's some new rule of autism land that I'm like figuring out, that I'm like, why couldn't I have figured this out? This would have
Yeah.
made it so much easier if I'd figured this out, years ago.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really fascinating for me to figure out what those rules are, and then to think about how one isn't necessarily better than the other. I mean, there's things about autism that I really, the no lying. My daughter doesn't understand it's like, why would you want to lie? If you're asking me my opinion on something, why would I want to lie about that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Matteo, your book, The Handbook of Us, what is the biggest message you want to get across to people in that book?
Go ahead.
W. I want.
I'm going to move it the letterboard in first. I want P-E-O.
People.
People
T.
to A-V-O-I to
Avoid.
avoid. Go ahead, find it.
J.
Say it. And
U. D.
and
G.
and
I.
and
N. G. Judging.
find it.
P. A.
A
B.
and
O.
and
O.
and
A book.
a book. Go ahead.
Me.
And
Y. By.
find it.
I.
And
T.
and
S. It's
and
cover.
I want people to avoid judging a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to point out something. Did you notice? Did you notice where his hand was kind of floating at the beginning when he was talking? Okay, it's late at night and he's tired. He's had a whole day, and we traveled yesterday back here from Minnesota, so that was a long day. But anyway, his hand started floating, we call it, and not going directly to the letter. So I changed my approach with him, and I started saying, find it to get the first letter, find it, and very rhythmic, and he could go right to the next letter. Then we stop and he says the whole word. Find it. Where do you want to start? Find it. And what's next? And it changes everything and helps keep their focus. And you notice he could do it a lot faster. Oddly enough, I was just doing this with, well, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Go ahead. I, A, and L, and O, and S, and O.
Also.
I also. Go ahead. W, and A, and N, and T. Want. Find it. P, and E, and O, and P, and L, and E.
People. T.
And
Two.
Go ahead. And go ahead. And
U.
and
Assume intelligent.
to assume. I also want people to assume intelligence. Go ahead.
Almost one more question.
T and E and A and C and teach. E and V and E and R and Y and O and N and
E. Teach everyone.
teach everyone. Go ahead. W and H and E. T H and E.
or whether
whether
they
they
see
and
a
and
and
can, go ahead,
if
and
a
what? Say, teach everyone whether they can say a and an, a and n and s and w and e and
or answer.
whether they can say and answer.
Almost done.
Sure. O and
or
and
o
and
t not.
or not.
Mm.
So I want people to people to teach everyone whether they can say an answer or not, or something like that. Yeah, that's a huge mantra of Matteo's, and has been since he's been communicating at 11 and a half years old. Everyone deserves an education.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whether they can share with you in a way you know that they understand it or not is irrelevant. Even if they're going to run around the room in circles, flapping their hands and making their sounds while you're reading them about the life of Mozart and playing music for them in the background that's Mozart, and they're learning music history or whatever you're teaching. The only way to learn is not sitting at a desk with your feet on the floor and sitting still. That's not what has to be done. Matteo goes on and on about this in his book.
Mhm.
If you look at his books, at conferences where we sell the books, I'm always saying, buy the blue one first, because you get to know him. He's 11 and a half when he's writing this book. It took us a year and a half. So it was published when he was 13. You get to know him first and kind of get his sense of humor and the fact that he's extremely sarcastic, and you get to know his personality, and he's spiritual and loving guy. And then the next book, Autism Secrets Revealed, that's where he zings you and kind of tells you what to do. He's a little more directive in the second book, but parents want that also. We've had numerous comments about both the books and how helpful they've been to parents of other nonverbal autistic children, and how just different ways of looking at your child and thinking about your child and how they see the world and experience the world is enlightening. And it's changed their relationships with their children. And really, that's the first step. It is all about the relationship. And until we accept them for who they are at the moment, not who they're going to be 10 years from now, or who we hope them to be, or craft them into being, or mold them into being 10 years from now, is not how that relationship's going to grow. So, and I can tell you the day that switched for us in this house. Mark and I, my husband, had just come home from sunrise training when Matteo was 8. And we have a backyard with a bunch of tiny rocks, and we have a long fence. And the fence is redwood, so it has some holes in it. Here I am, has some holes in it. And Matteo's favorite thing to do would be to get away from therapies when he'd have a break, 2 minutes every day that he actually had to himself, is to go out and grab the rocks or sticks and poke them through the fence. And they'd end up in my neighbor's driveway, right? So when Mark and I got back from a week at the Autism Treatment Center of America, we came back and were taught to join in their favorite activity, become a friend and do it with them. Why do they always have to do our activity? Right? Let's join them in their activity. So Matteo's out in the backyard and he's happy as a clam, just doing his thing, sticking the rock through the fence, right? I come walking out the sliding glass door, approaching him. He turns to me.
A minute, Katie.
And he just starts going faster, and he's like He's going to start crying any second because I'm going to make him stop it as usual.
Yeah.
Because stimming is bad. Don't let them repeat that over and over. It's very bad for your child, right? That's what we were taught.
Right.
So I walk out there, don't even look at him, pick up my own, I'm down about 3 feet, pick up my own rock, find my own hole. I just start sticking it through there. And I'm like, you know, this is pretty darn rewarding, especially you get a long skinny stick and you just go very slowly. I'm telling you, everyone go do this tonight. It's a lot of fun. And I got into it. I was doing my own thing. And when I finally did turn to look at Matteo, this is what I saw. It was like, you want to get your child to stop stimming, do what they're doing, right? I mean, join them, but really love it. You got to really search for what is bringing them joy in this activity. Your life will change forever. That was the moment. That was the moment. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
You remember that moment?
Yes.
It's like, all right, who are you? And why did aliens take my mother away? Because you're obviously not. So,
Fabulous. Yeah. So maybe just a couple of more questions, and then we're gonna let you go. Cynthia, yeah, want to ask the question?
I should know this, but just for the people that are watching, you know, what are all the titles of the 5 books that Matteo has written?
yes, so the first one is the Handbook of Us.
Right.
Second one is Autism Secrets Revealed. The third one is a book of poetry called Moments of Feeling Known. And you learn a lot from reading someone's poetry, don't you, Cynthia?
Yes, you do.
It's
You
it's
do.
a way of expressing who one is as a person. And so even if you're not a poet, you can certainly learn a lot from reading poetry, especially written by neurodiverse people, because it certainly explains a lot about their world if you're at all interested in that. Plus, it's just beautiful. Matteo loves nature, redwood trees, running water, and there's some beautiful analogies. He uses a lot of analogies in his writings, and just that are kind of mind-blowing to me, because I guess my brain doesn't process nature. I love nature, but it doesn't process it like his does, that's for sure. And then he has 2 little books. They could be called children's books, except they're really for everybody. What are they called? Love Land. And he did the art for both of these books. And Love Land is just a little book about what it would be like if everyone accepted each other for who they are. Yeah. And it's got a little lesson there. And then the last one is I Am Yours. And that's about his personal commitment to the world, to helping and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Matteo, what's your advice to other teens? What's your advice to other teens with autism?
To other teens?
Yes, other teens, other young
One more
people.
question.
To other people with autism.
Then we'll put the red word away.
I say to be
Patient.
to be patient. Go ahead. WIT with THEI there P and A and R and E and N and T and be patient with their parents. T and H and E and Y and R and their. D and O and I and N, and they're doing the B E S best. T and H E and they. C and A. They're doing the best they can.
Almost
Go
done.
ahead. K and
One more
N
question.
and- oh, this is the same question. No.
One more thing.
T and H and A, whatever you want to say, sweetie. Know that. Know that. Go ahead. A and N and
Any?
any. S A, find it. D and N and E and S and any sadness. O and find it.
Huh.
Or S T R E S. Any sadness or stress. T H E. They. Go ahead. M A. May. H A B. Any sadness or stress they may have.
Almost done.
Go ahead. I is P A R. Part of T H E I. Their.
Hi, Mom.
J O.
Journey.
Journey. Go ahead. I in this life.
A.
Go ahead. W. We. A. R. Not. R. E. S. P.
O.
Find it.
S.
B.
Responsible.
We are not responsible for
For another.
another's
For another's. Emotion.
emotion. For another, we are not responsible for another's emotion.
A.
And we are doing, find it, our
You.
best
Amen.
to S U R V I E to survive
Oh, that's gonna feature smart.
in a W O R world not
Next.
R E A ready F O for find it us. Why? Yet we're doing the best we can to survive in a world that's not ready for us yet.
All right.
Huge, Dave. That's beautiful.
Do you have
That's-
a final? Oh, go, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's right, because I've apologized to Matteo for years. I still do. We've been communicating now for almost 7 years. But it doesn't make up for the 11 that I wasn't communicating with him as much as I could have been. I wasn't assuming intelligence like I could have been. And I always thought he was smart, just like you know, I know he's smart, but then to really get behind that and really in your gut, just know it and feel it and live it. And I know he's smart. I don't really care. And being smart isn't what it's all about anyway, but that's such a focus of this society,
Okay.
you know? But my point is that I continue to apologize to him for our sadness, you know, in the journey, especially when we don't know what the heck we're doing as parents. Sorry if we made mistakes. Sorry that I worked you too hard. Sorry that blah, blah, blah. And he's like, Mom, you did the best you could do. You did the best you could. You were trying so hard. I really appreciate how much you tried for me. And you did a lot of things really, really well. You know, he's been my little counselor these past 7 years as I try to, you know, reflect back and wish that he hadn't heard some of our conversations, because we, you know, when he was 3, 4 years old, we assumed, we didn't know he was listening or that he was understanding. And he will tell me things I said when he was 3 years old. These guys understand everything that's said at a much younger age than a lot of people probably, and they remember everything. And if that's one message I can leave to parents, is you just got to know that. And once you assume that and you take that to heart and you know that, it will change the way you talk around your child, the way you talk to your child. And it will change everything in your life. It'll change your relationship. So, yeah.
Okay, bye.
So anyway.
Okay, bye.
Well, it's been great to speak to you guys. We truly appreciate you spending the time with us this evening, and we want to wish you all the best of luck and stay in touch.
Thank
Matteo, you're the best. Keep up
Yes.
with the work.
Thanks.
So, Cynthia, thank you for co-hosting this event with me.
Yeah. my
And all the other events this month. It's been fabulous. Thank you to everyone who attended and our Livermore Reads Together programs this month, and also continue to enjoy them on the library's, Livermore Public Library's YouTube channel. So this interview will be posted on the YouTube channel for people to benefit for many years. So again, thank you
you.
all of you. Yeah.
Sorry, Dave's getting a little, sorry he got tired here at the end and I had to
No, you know, it's getting late. So Cynthia, thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Paul. And thanks, Annette and Matteo. It was great seeing you guys, even if it was just virtual.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having us. It's always a pleasure and our honor to be able to speak to whoever is willing to listen and take it all in.
And Paul and I should probably say, for like one more day, there's art and poetry done by autistic teens. And there's at least, I think, 6 poems and 6 paintings done by Matteo, plus a whole lot of other kids from around the Bay Area. So in the gallery at the library, the gallery space at the main library. So, you know, if you get a chance, go over and take a look at that before we take it down.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Moving it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Going on tour.
Yes. I'm not sure where we're moving it to. I'm hoping it's going to be a traveling exhibition, but I'd like to keep it in Livermore for another month, because next month is not only National Poetry Month, but Autism Awareness Month. So I'm trying to keep it in Livermore for another month so that more people can see it, but I've not found, anyway, my fingers are crossed. I'm still looking for a place to install it. So anyway, more on that
More to come
soon. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Matteo, Annette, Cynthia, and take care.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Bye.
Anyway,
Bye.
bye.